Khovansjtsjina is a timeless piece, I would say. Even Moesorgski himself, when he was writing the piece, he said he was using the past to talk about the present, right? So even then, even though he was writing a piece about 17th century Russian history, he was really talking about mid-19th century Russia. And now, 150 years later, unfortunately, the piece is just as relevant as it ever was. It's about a nation with so many factions, so many political parties, so many people struggling in a moment of great struggle to win and to eliminate their enemies and to somehow claw their way to the top and become the leader. It's strangely timeless, this story of there's the oligarch, Khovanski, the brilliant trillionaire who owns half of Moscow.
Part of the Russia wants to go to the West, and part wants to stay like what it was in history. Actually, it's really the same thing like today. I can find the good examples as soon as I put the television on. I can find few Khovanskis on the television. So.
There are these religious fanatics, the old believers, who hate their current society and hate the man, Tsar Peter, the man who's becoming the Tsar, and have opting out entirely from society and eventually destroying themselves, immolating themselves in protest against the Tsar, who they think literally is the Antichrist, literally Satan coming on earth. Then there are just the people of Moscow, another group, just the poor, hungry, many of them homeless people, the desperate people looking for a leader to save them. And then there's this army, the Streltsy army, the private army of Khovansky. It's a wild group of mercenary soldiers who are really running Russia at the moment, and violently and viciously with blood. And so there's all these different groups struggling with each other, trying to destroy each other, really.
There are so many versions of that piece because Moesorgski didn't finish it. He also didn't make the orchestration of this piece. We took one of those versions, we took Shostakovich as a base. Since this time when Shostakovich wrote it, there are some new manuscripts which appeared. So we tried to modify it a little bit and to use wherever we could use that, the original indications of Moesorgski.
There's actually quite a lot of challenges in this opera. We have well, to start with, we have the sheer amount of music we have to work with. This piece consists of three chorus parts, which would be the Streltsy, the Old Believers, and the Muscovite people. In a lot of opera houses, actually, they get a second chorus to do one of these parts. For example, for the Streltsy, and so we have to sing everything. So the amount alone is already a challenge. With the Russian text that actually doesn't repeat at all. It just goes on. It's like reading a book. It's just you just keep reading and reading. So that's a big challenge for the singers actually to learn this whole thing by heart. A lot of directors say they like working with this chorus. David Alden himself said the same thing. This is going to be great. I love to work with this chorus. Because there are often very difficult things to do while singing. And our chorus here is highly motivated to make pretty much everything possible on stage that is somehow possible.
all this idea of this staging that he is doing here, it's really a bit different. All this, I would say, Kafkian atmosphere, and it's nice. It's nice. I like it.
These people wandering through this abstract gray city and large crowds of people being pressed into small areas. So we're constantly changing from this gray nightmare world of the city to this kind of magnificent but sort of grotesque, ridiculous opulence.
As you can see, it's like a metropolis. It's like a futuristic nightmare of a city. The walls move, so we can be very... And there's a giant abstract clock on the wall always moving slowly towards midnight when Tsar Pyotr takes over and all of his enemies are finally destroyed.
It's an end game, really, this whole opera. It's about the last couple of moves in a chess game. And the end of the chess game means one man is the Tsar and millions of people die.
I wanted to do it always because, first of all, it's a great piece. I never did something of Moesorgski because you need a very special opera house which gives you all the freedom to rehearse as much as you need. But I never would think, when we were talking about it, because it was already several years ago, that it would be so right timing to do it if you see what happens in Russia and between Russia and Western countries.
You have everything you want in this opera. You have the big lyrical parts, you have the brutal force.
And it's an amazing story. It's an amazing, in a way, I don't think there's another opera quite like it.